Normally, I don't like going over money plays too much just because they're kind of specific to one playbook usually, and so not everybody can benefit from it. But given that I've made, a few videos on the run and shoot offensive playbook for, over the last week or so, I think this will be really useful as an addition to that. And I can't really pass it up because I think it's really, really, really good. I think it can stretch every area of the field. You can stretch your opponent deep. There's some really good intermediate concept there. And then, of course, that'll open up things underneath, check downs or anything like that. If you're not running shoot already, I think this will do a great job in convincing a lot of you. But also, it's going to contain a concept that you can use really in any playbook. So that's something you'll definitely want to watch for. It's a way to really expose the cloud flats. I think whether you're running cover 2, cover 3, or cover 4, most people are using cloud flats for their flat defenders. I think it is the best zone, but I think what I'm going to show you here is going to totally expose that, and it's going to gain you 15 yards a pop every single time. Again, whether that's cover 2, cover 3, or cover 4. So that's really interesting. So what we're going to do is come out in the shotgun in the run and shoot, and the formation is called flanker close. This is really the only formation in this playbook has kind of a unique alignment, I guess you could say, because everything else is, whether it's single back pistol or gun, it's something like just a 2x2 spread or trips evenly kind of distributed. This one's a bit different. So the play in here is called RNS Switch Dig, or Run and Shoot Switch Dig. So you're going to call that, and then we'll go up against cover 2 to start with. And what I want to start with before we go into the deep shots, which, by the way, there's deep shots for cover 2, cover 3, and cover 4 for this one. Most of them will be one-play touchdowns. But I want to introduce to you the concept that is the wheel comeback concept. So all it is a wheel from your slot receiver and a comeback route from your leftmost receiver or your wide receiver. Doesn't matter which side you're going to. And you'll want to do this to the boundary. So the way you want to set up this formation in particular is the strength of your formation you want to set to the field. Okay, so your running back should be to the wide side of the field. And you want your fastest wide receiver at your rightmost position here. So that's going to be the guy that's getting behind the safety, behind the corner, or just stretching the field vertically. And then your leftmost receiver is going to be your best route runner. Okay, so what's great about this concept on the left here is this wheel route from Carmichael is going to push back any cloud flats, whether they're coming from the cornerback or the nickel or the outside linebacker. They're going to carry that wheel route vertically, and you're going to be able to hit that comeback route wide open underneath for 15 yards at least. And then if you need a lot of yards, so if you're 3rd and 20, 4th and 20, this is a really good option because you can just smart route that comeback and throw it right 5 yards past the sticks, and you'll catch it on the sideline there. So that's really good. So how it works is something like this. So watch the cornerback, how he kind of sinks, and then we're wide open right underneath. So let's quickly go over the replay. So you see the wheel goes, and now the cornerback is going to turn his hips, and then what's left is this outside linebacker who's completely out of position. He has to cover Antonio Brown, which he won't be able to. And then all we do is just possession catch on the sideline for 15 easy yards. Now, I will say this doesn't work. I mean, that's wrong. It works against nickel, but it's a bit tighter of a throw. I don't know if that's because the mechanics and the coding for cornerbacks is different, or because they happen to have better zone coverage. I don't know. But if you're working this against cover 2 in a nickel and you want to make sure you get open, I'd just motion over a receiver like Ted Ginn sorry, whoever happens to be over there, and that'll occupy that corner much more. Okay, so let's just show it one more time. Just like that. Now, if you're gonna use this in other formations, okay, this formation happens to work out really nicely just because how these guys are aligned. I don't know why exactly. I think maybe because it allows this wheel route to get to the corner before the comeback. I don't know. But if you're running this from a regular spread look, what you're gonna want to do is, actually, let me just show you. So let's go to spread and let's find, okay, similar play, and we'll go back to that cover 2. So if we run it like this, you see that I think just because the alignment, the wheel route doesn't get there quick enough, and so the corner doesn't have to sink, he can just sit. It might work out maybe if you have a big speed difference, but that's just kind of a nuisance. What I've found though is that if you can't do that in this. Okay. Okay, so some formations you're just straight up out of luck. But there are other formations. So if we go single back trips open, we pick, say, curl flat wheel. I think maybe it's something to do with trips where you have this hidden motion that you can utilize. Okay, so what you'll do is motion. You're gonna motion your number 2 receiver left, and that's going to motion your furthest wide receiver out to the left as well. And you see he's got this kind of silly comebacker out here, but what actually happens is he turns into some sort of a kind of a makeshift C route. It's really interesting, so we'll see how it looks. See, he kind of cuts in. Pass rush is fierce. So just like that. So that's really cool in itself. So if you have a formation that has this kind of hidden motion, I'd definitely use that because you got this C route that can't be stopped. And then as long as you have some sort of a wheel route there to drive that guy back, you're going to be open for 15 yards anytime. Anyway, so let's get back on track. So that's the wheel comeback. And I'll just show it against cover 3 that this works against any sort of cloud flat. Okay, just like this. Got the cloud flat there. He's going to carry, and I'm wide open for 15 yards, even more. So that's totally unstoppable. You could probably get away with using, like the defense could probably do hard flats, but then you could probably throw that wheel route above them. What I will say though is that it doesn't work against curl flats. So that's kind of interesting. So it'll look something like this. You could probably squeeze it in there like I just did there, but it's really tight. So keep an eye on what your opponent tends to do. If they tend to do these cloud flats and they're stubborn with it, you can hit this all day. If they're doing the curl flats, well, we know that there's other things we can do. We can do this concept for one. That'll work for sure. So it's something to definitely keep an eye on. If you haven't already, keep an eye on what flat your cover 3 or cover 4 slot defender is doing. Okay, so that's that. That'll always be there. So that's going to cause a big time headache for your opponent. So they're going to have to overcommit their user to that side, and then you'll have this area free to do whatever you want. You know, different kind of combinations there. But, you know, I'm not going to go into that. You can develop that yourself. What I want to go over is the deep shots to the right side. So if we want to hit this area, so this is a pretty well-known kind of concept for the one-play touchdowns for cover 3 and cover 4, is where you have your fastest wide receiver and you just put him on a fade. You as long as he's from kind of a compressed position there. And then you have another wide receiver here, Sharp, that's going to occupy this cornerback. He's going to occupy that field side corner. And so your fade route's going to get open essentially in that deep zone area. So it's kind of, I don't know, feel like some of the coding there might need some work. But to make it even better, even more open, what I would do is streak Carmichael, or your left side slot receiver there. So that's going to make it so your free safety can't cheat over to that fade route. He has to respect both streaks. And then this works even better, again, if your opponent is like 95% of good Madden players using cloud flats. Those two streaks are going to get free. Okay, I mean, the Ginn streak gets free anyway, but now the Carmichael streak's going to get free, and the free safety is going to be left with no help at all. Okay, so it's going to end up looking like this. Now, hopefully you don't get that weird jumping animation. You can just run onto it and score. Okay. So there's your free one-play touchdown against cover 3. And this will work against cover 4 too. It's just a little bit trickier. Okay. So I'll go over cover 4 at the end. So let's quickly go to cover 2. Now cover 2, you're not going to be able to hit him for a one-play touchdown, but you're going to get some big gains here. So what you want to do is same thing. You're going to fade the Ted Ginn, so he's going to drive that safety back. And actually, in this case, it might be better to just put him on a like just a go route. Put Sharp on an out route and motion across your Antonio Brown, the guy on this S post here. So what's going to happen is the cloud flat is going to bite down on the out route. The safety is driven back by the go route, and then you have that big area to the right where Antonio Brown is going to be. Okay, so that's, I don't know what that is, 30 yards or so. And there's really no adjustment they can make here except just bringing their bringing their user defender over. Okay, and you're just going to want to get used to the pass lead there. Okay, you don't want to get too close to that corner. You don't want to get too close to that safety. But you see kind of how crazy this is. That opening is so massive, and these corners are so good that they can still make it tough for you. Now, what I really like here is that we can use this same route combination. So in some cases, you'll be able to tell pretty clearly whether your opponent's in cover 3 or cover 2. Like in this case, it's obviously cover 3. But, if they're doing a pretty good job at disguising it, all you have to do is just this. So this route concept I showed you worked for the cover 2 where you're open on the far sideline there, but it'll also work for the cover 3. So that corner is going to respect that kind of S post, or actually S corner in this case, and then you'll be free with Ted Ginn still. So just like that. And again, if you're better at pass leading, you can make it you can put her in that spot where nobody's going to tackle you, and you'll run free for the touchdown. So before we wrap up here, I just want to show you for cover 4. And I'll show you that, it is a bit trickier. So we'll do this. We'll even motion across this guy. And I find really the most consistent way of getting open for the cover 4 is using the high pass modifier. So you're going to want really a good quarterback to do this. High throw power, high throw deep accuracy. I feel like the smaller receivers do better in jump balls. I don't know if you guys have noticed that or not. But I mean, we know that jump balls don't really work this year, but I've had Brandon Cooks burn me a few times. I feel like there's some sort of weird advantage they have there. I don't know. Okay, so just like that. So if it's cover 4, it makes it a lot easier if you just streak this sharp route here. Because then, you know, it'll give you that 2 or 3 step edge, because he has to, you know, account for sharp there. So that again is going to get a bit of extra yardage. And just like that, and just like that. Okay, so you have a cover 3 one-play touchdown, you have a cover 4 one-play touchdown, you have big yardage against cover 2, and all of those are pretty much the same route combination. And then on the other side, you have an unbeatable 2-man passing concept against any sort of cloud flats. Okay, so definitely try this play. I want to know how it works for you in practice mode. You know, do you come up across anything that's troubling you? And then if you try this in online, let me know how it's working for you. Okay, so if you appreciated this, I definitely appreciate from you a like on this video, and I'll see you in the next one.